Hello there. When analysing the Terran Empire, there are a lot of things we can say about the Terrans that are, let's face it, mostly not good. Despite the fact that they are human, their culture is so alien to us that they're practically they're practically an alien race. But much like the Klingons, it's wrong to tar them with a broad brush and just say they are the cliche all barbarian warriors. Yes, there's certainly this aspect to their culture. It's easy to say things about the Terrans. They're imperialistic, they're fascistic. The Terrans are savage barbarians, a society that seems to reward strength and ruthlessness before skill and talent. But again, it is wrong to tar the Terrans in such a broad brush. There are many nuances to their culture and society. Clearly, they do have ability. They have built a functioning society. They have developed warp capability. They have unified as a race and have still accomplished many things that many other alien civilizations fail to do. The Terrans, despite their barbarity, are a functioning society. And one of the aspects of that is somewhat overlooked, and there isn't exactly a lot of it, but it definitely exists as a facet of their society, is Terran diplomacy. Now, we see elements of this internally with the Terrans. It's mostly internal politics, creating savvy alliances. Who's in favour with the current emperor gets to be, regent of Andor or whatever. But there are other instances where we actually see the Terrans not instantly, as their barbaric nature and reference by such as Intendant Kira simply referring to them as barbarians would imply that they would simply resort to violence every time. And one instance of this is actually the first time we ever met the Terrans. Mira Kirk and his away team had beamed down to the Halkan homeworld. Now, although we can assume that these negotiations were somewhat aggressive, and probably came with a few threats, it was a negotiation. The Enterprise could have just entered orbit and instantly ordered their surrender and begun a bombardment, but clearly Imperial policy wasn't so black and white. There was interspecies politics to consider. Yes, the Halkans themselves may not have been a threat, but who's to say if the Terrans went around doing that, they weren't going to piss off the wrong people. Maybe the Romulans or some other power might be a little perturbed by such barbarity, such an open display, without any kind of concession towards some other methods. And we do see the Terrans at least attempt diplomacy. We also see Kirk attempt diplomacy with Spock when he's attempting to bribe his way back out of the holding cell. The Terrans clearly are capable of and do still enforce a policy of negotiation with other races. But when those negotiations fail, the barbarity comes to the surface. Now, although we don't know the ins and outs of exactly how the negotiations with the Halkans went, but the Halkans of the Prime Universe and the Mirror Universe do seem to be very similar. They don't want to have their world exploited. Now, the Federation simply accepts this and moves on, even though they do state that if the Klingons turn up, you're not going to be given the same concessions, the same level of respect. The Terrans are more like Klingons of the Prime timeline. There are a lot of comparisons that are easy to make between the two states. And it's more how the Klingons would react. Yeah, they turn up initially. My guess would be Kirk's version of diplomacy was turn up and it's like, right, we're going to exploit these resources one way or another. You can work with us, or you can be crushed under the jackbooted heel of the Terran Empire. It's your call, what is it? And they seem to take the position in the Mirror Universe, the same as in the Prime, of we will not oppose you, but we won't allow you to do it. But they're not in a position to actually stop you if you really do want to. And the Terrans, when they get back to the ship, their basic Imperial policy is, right, we'll just bombard their cities now. They'll either surrender or they'll die. We'll bomb their society back to the Stone Age and mine their planet anyway, or we'll simply wipe them out. Or if they're smart, they'll surrender before it reaches the point where their society's infrastructure is so irreparably damaged that their society can no longer function, which also would make them probably less productive members of the Empire. There is also an argument to be made that their society already having an established infrastructure and a well-built civilization, is easier for the Terrans to exploit the resources of the planet by simply exploiting the native population over moving in and doing it themselves. Again, these are aggressive negotiation tactics, and I am inferring a couple of things, but we do see the Terrans are capable of this. We also see the Terrans are more of a restrained people when they want to be. Kirk, in some ways of the Mirror Universe, is a bad example. He's savage, he's brutal, and he seems to predominantly resort to brutal tactics. Who's to say whether him needing to assassinate his previous commanding officer, Captain Pike, was actually necessary for him to advance in rank? We do see plenty of instances within the Empire of people advancing in rank through normal channels. So there is no necessarily a need for it, and there also has to be a justification. Which again speaks to the fact that Terrans are capable of this level of nuance and negotiation. They just don't always subscribe to it. Thinking of subscribe, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit those buttons down below if you want to keep up to date with all the uploads from this channel. This is only a quick video today. It was something upon a quick rewatch of the events of Mirror Mirror did make me notice that, the Terrans, at least at first, seem to be taking the same procedural approach as the Federation. They turned up, they entered orbit, they beamed down, and they tried to talk to the Halkans. And tried to simply say, just give us what we want, and we'll leave you alone for the most part. I mean, you can't trust the Terrans. They're infamously untrustworthy race. But at least superficially, they were initially willing to try, because it was easier for them to have a compliant population willing to do the work for them, because if they wipe the Halkans out, they've got to either transport slaves from another world there, or they're going to have to establish a Terran colony and outpost to do the extractions themselves. It's all an extra infrastructure investment that perhaps was unnecessary if they could get the Halkans simply on board. But what do you guys think? Let me know your comments in the comment section down below. On the Mirror Universe in general, how you think the Terrans would react to a situation like this? Or am I just overthinking it? We made it all to the new video. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.